What's up, guys, and welcome back to this week's episode of the podcast. I'm joined by Harry, of course. Harry, how you doing?
Hey, good. Yeah, good. You?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. We have so much to talk about this week, so we're going to get straight into it. And first of all, we are going to talk about Heung-Min Son, because as you guys are well aware by now, he has officially left the club after 10 wonderful, incredible years. And we were literally talking about it 30 seconds ago. We know it's the right time, but I think the man he is, the person he is, the player he is, epitomised everything that we've always said is important about being a Tottenham fan, about being a Tottenham player, about putting the shirt on, someone who loves the club as much as a fan does. And I think for at least 8 of the last 10 years, he's played like he's been a fan. He's played like it's been a privilege every day. He scored, goals against Arsenal, goals away at the Etihad, goals in the Champions League, goals in the Cups, key goals in the Europa League campaign last year. And I think to end a perfectly well-rounded 10 years, being our third ever captain to lift a European trophy, I think, I said it in the TikTok I made, but fairy tale writers couldn't have written a more perfect ending. My own post that I made myself, I'll read to you guys what I put. So I said, "Goodbye, Captain. There aren't many men who've done what you've done, had the journey you've had, or been the man you've been along the way. You've made me proud to support the club I love at moments when it was the most difficult. You kept me believing when we had no reason to believe, and you've become a legend on a night where all thought it was impossible. Bilbao will always be your glory, and Tottenham Hotspur will always be your home. Thank you for 10 incredible years. Till we meet again. Captain, leader, legend." And I think that pretty much sums up how the majority of Spurs fans are feeling. I know you said, the year after Conte had gone, that maybe that's when his leg was starting to go and maybe that was to move him on. But I think in hindsight, knowing how it's ended now, I think if it had gone 2 years ago and then we'd have gone on to win a trophy, I think we'd have all been disappointed that he didn't stay and didn't get to lift it. So
the few, I hate to reference Poch, but one of the few Poch players that were left from like a long time, of course, Ben Davies is the other one, because I think they're the last two from the Champions League final.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Who, obviously, because Kane left, obviously, a year or two ago now. So those are the two players I would have wanted to see that win the most, win a trophy, Son and Kane. So at least one of them did it. But with Sonny, people forget that, when he joined, he wasn't really that fancied by our fan base, or even by. He almost left, I think, after the first year, right?
Well, it's funny you say that, actually. I'm glad, because I favoured some quotes earlier. Let me find it. So in stupid Twitter, in 2015. This was on deadline day 2015. Now, bear in mind, obviously, we signed him the year before, and he was linked to go back to Germany to Wolfsburg. And Sonny said after deadline day that he vows to justify his £22 million fee. "I feel responsible and proud because Tottenham valued me that highly when I was just a nobody. It's very important for players to feel valued, and now I'm going to show that I'm worth it to the fans and to the club." And I think he's done more than show.
Second season was when he kind of lit up more.
Really kicked on.
I know these are not big teams or when we scored against, but we've had a few away games, and I think he scored in was it 2 or 3 win in a row? I think it was Burnley or something, or I can't remember who it was, but I remember it because when we signed him, obviously we were chasing Berahino at the same time. But a lot of fans are like, "Who's Son?" Obviously we were like, "Who's Son?" But I remember speaking to someone, and he told me that, bear in mind, he came by Leverkusen, and he was he's a Champions League level player. So also, I tend to like wingers a lot and fast players. So I was quite, even though obviously later on, people may argue I turned on Son, or it's very personal that I didn't want him to be here. But I was one of the biggest defenders at the beginning, actually. And he kind of repaid the faith, I guess, in the end. But I think it's because he's also an attacking player, I think it's easier to kind of
be a bit more patient, I suppose.
No, but also just not attached to him. Is that the right word? But as in, be more fond of him.
I know what you mean, yeah.
And also because of Kane is so a factor in this as well, because they had such a great partnership. I'm sure you saw my post on Instagram, and they've had 47 goal contributions together.
I did, yeah.
So it's the highest I think ever apparently in the Premier League. So and also because obviously he did bring the Koreans and stuff, but that wasn't really like a factor. I don't think at the beginning. Really,
It wasn't. No,
only really when we moved stadium.
Only when he became the level that he became that it really started to be noticed so much.
I can't really pinpoint the year. Like the one goal I'll never forget though that kind of made me think it was more than just like a good player was the one at home to Chelsea at Wembley when he skinned like half their team.
Yeah, see, mine is even a bit before that. When we played last season at the Lane, we played away to Middlesbrough, and he scored 2 finesse shots from the edge of the box that just curled into the top corner, both of them. And that was when I was like, if he wants it, if he really, really wants it, this kid has got something. And how many bloody goals from the edge of the box did he score after that? Goal after goal after goal after goal. And, I'm going to ask you your top 3 favourite Son goals in a second, but I think for me, the character, the way he never down tools in, we were in such a difficult period where he could have left and no Spurs fan would ever have held that against him. And he stayed and signed a 5-year contract. And
the Nuno, wasn't it? That's what I remember.
Yeah, and I'll talk about him more next week. But for those guys who are watching this on Friday, on Tuesday will be 4 years since Ramon passed away. And that first Saturday, he was the one who scored that winning goal in that Nuno game the week he passed away. And there's so much love I have for him. And not just as a player, not just for the memories game, but the way he held himself. And I meant it in that message. I said, he made me proud to support the club I love in moments when it really, really tested our resolve. And I think if that doesn't show the kind of unifying figure he is, I don't know what will.
Me personally, as a what's the word, captain, really, he wouldn't have been my choice. But I think what Son brings off the field is a factor because, like, for me on the field, I want someone more like a Roy Keane, whatever, Vieira, whatever you want to call it. But off the field, the difference with Son is because he's such a positive person. I think off the field, he's quite valuable in the sense that he will bring the squad together because he's just such a, I don't know, not happy-go-lucky, is that the right way to put it?
Sort of, but he's such a carefree person in the sense of he doesn't take life too seriously. But, I mean, even Danso said that on his first day in there, that Sonny was speaking German to him to make him feel comfortable. Danso was like, no, I'm okay speaking English. But the fact that Sonny went to that level, and he's not the only player he's done it with, he's done it so many over the years. And I just think, for me, the man, the character, everything, I'm so proud. And I think you can say we've had legends over the years, but I'd say there's only ever been a handful of Mr. Tottenhams. I think Steve Perryman was one. I think Bill Nicholson was one. I think Ledley King was one. And I think Heung-Min Son was one. And people can make the argument about Harry Kane. People know my opinion on the situation. You can't be considered Mr. Tottenham if you force him to move away the way he did. And it's not to say he shouldn't have left or that he didn't deserve to leave, but the way and it's not just that as well. It was a Snapchat video message and dumping and ditching. Like, it was the worst Love Island breakup message you've ever seen in your life. Yeah, exactly. Whereas Son, he just, in the bitter moments when it really comes to showing his character and showing whether he meant what he said about whether he truly cared about the fan and the clubs, he proved that this is his home. And he turned his home into champions. And there will never, ever be a greater honour than that. Never.
So, like, with Poch, because I think they both initially came just to play, maybe just to play in London or to manage in London or just go to a bigger team where they were from. But I think later on they fell in love with the club, like later on. Not like they didn't come in because it was Tottenham, if that makes sense. But like later on they fell in love with the club. I don't know how
they fell in love with the club, yeah. And even now he will be watching on as a fan, and I hope he gets a ambassadorial role at the start. He was. It's funny because Hannah, the girl who does all of the Spurs media stuff, she captioned one of the posts with "Cheers, Son's crying," from the meme from a while ago. And honestly, just him being thrown in the air. And credit to Newcastle, by the way. I don't ever give them a lot of credit because most of their fans are shitters. But credit to Newcastle players giving him a guard of honour on the way off and chucking it, and the players checking him up at the end. It was perfect for me. And I'm going to go in no particular order because it's going to be hard. In fact, no, I'm going to go in a particular order of my top 3 favourite Son goals. I'm going to go number 3, the run against Chelsea at Wembley. Blitzed past everybody. David Luiz was still at Chelsea, by the way. Jorginho, who'd finished like 3rd in Ballon d'Or rankings the year before, blitzed through them all. What a finish. What just incredible. My second favourite Son goal is the volley against Dortmund at Wembley. It was my first Champions League game, my stepdad's first Champions League game. Watching that in front of my eyes, the way him and Jan Vertonghen played that day, oh my God. And I still stand by my point. I think that's probably one of the best individual performances referring to Jan that I've ever seen from a player live in a Spurs shirt. And my first one, and a lot of you know what's coming, Harry embarrassingly didn't get it right last week, but it is that winner against Wickham because it was my first Tottenham game. We were losing, then we were trailing again. A last-minute winner. The game had everything. And then I remember at the end of the game, there were some South Korean fans behind me, had Son shirts on, and I offered to take a photo, and they were so lovely. They shook my hand. They said, we've been so welcome here, and we love it, and we hope Sonny does well. And that was the last year at the Lane. And to think that another 8 years later, he's here, he's captained us to a major trophy. I'm going to start crying if I go too much. I can't even begin to tell you guys. Those 3, they might not be the most glamorous in the world, but they're the goals that are the most important to me. They're my top 3 favourite Son goals. What's yours?
Well, the third one's the same as yours. Chelsea one.
Yeah, that run was just incredible.
The second one was another run. At home to Burnley when he went past that whole team.
Puskas winner. Yeah.
It was insane. And the first one for me is probably, it's a very Harry choice, to be honest. When he scored that goal against Arsenal during lockdown. When he
the finesse into the corner. Yeah. But what a catalogue he's had. Left foot, right foot, volley, finesse shot. Like, he's had everything. And, I'm gutted his last goal was a penalty. That's what annoyed me a little bit. But you know what? He led so much by such an example, and I'm so proud that he spent the last decade here. And I just hope fans I think now we can really, truly appreciate, not that we haven't always, but I think the last couple of years have been a bit rough. His legs have been going a little bit. I think we can really go back to now appreciating the level of play he has, because to play the level of consistency he has for the amount of years he has, with the availability he's had, for £22 million, I don't think we will get another player that level of value for money for a long time.
Oh, no, not for 22 million. No.
Like, it's crazy. Moving on then to, obviously, we no longer have a captain currently. And I want to have a little conversation about maybe who the next captain is going to be. Because
we did have a little conversation on WhatsApp about
I was talking to Michael about it, my stepdad. It was his birthday on Sunday, so I really wish him happy birthday because I cooked him dinner. But if you're watching this, happy birthday!
Was it last Sunday?
As we were recording this yesterday.
27th.
No,
no,
3rd.
Okay.
Yesterday as we were recording this. And I believe it should be Romero, but on the condition he signs a new contract first. Even if it's just a 2-year extension, because I don't think you can afford to give someone an armband for 12 months and then have them leave in 12 months. I don't think you can afford to do that. If it's not him, I think we're in a very difficult position.
But
I don't think, 2 seconds, I don't think Maddison's injury, and we'll go on to that in a minute, I think that's going to mean that he's not going to be as available as much. Michael's suggestion after that was Kudelski, and he's injured. It is a bit of a mixed one with that one. I hate to say it because I didn't like it the last time we made this position a captain.
Oh, no.
But for me, if it's not Romero, then I would make it Bentancur or Vicario. And the reason being, Bentancur is kind of like Sonny in a way. He's a bit of a silent leader. He leads by example. He's one of the more senior members in the squad. He's experienced. He's a winner. He's won everywhere. I think that's the right example. Or Vicario, because when he's needed to show leadership qualities in the last 2 years, he's been absolutely fantastic. He's been the leader in terms of vocally and communication-wise that everyone thought Lloris was. And he wasn't even, he was really a distant member of the leadership group. I would like it to be Romero, and I think we could go for a real period of success if it was him, but he has to sign a new contract first. That's my take. What's yours?
Kind of what we said in my WhatsApp message to you. I think Romero is probably most likely to be, but I'm with you. He has to sign a new contract if he's going to get it. At least to somewhat be long term, right? But if it's not going to be him, I don't want to give it to Vicario because I think we have question marks over the keeper position now because Kinski's been playing a lot in pre-season. So, like you alluded to, on what episode we did, must have been like a few weeks ago, that you were talking about how Kinski could take the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
That's Kulusevski. Someone told me that injury is even worse than people think. Like, he could be out for a lot longer. That's not encouraging. Obviously, Madison's had this horrific injury, which we'll probably talk about a bit later on because it'll be referenced.
Yeah, that's the next topic. Yeah,
something else. But for me, I agree with you fully with Bentancur because he plays in the middle, like right in the middle of the pitch, and he's probably going to be a regular, I think, regardless of who he play in the midfield because he can play as an 8 or a 6, I guess, and even a 10 in some instances. So I think he's the best choice. But yeah, I think Bentancur Romero is probably the best choice. But Romero depends on whether he stays or not. And obviously, if he doesn't stay, we have another issue to solve again, I guess, if he gets sold. So,
to be honest with you, with the way Frank plays and with how stable our defence has looked, especially in pre-season, in terms of I don't know how many clips or how many bits you've seen from pre-season, but we've come back defensively. We're a lot more structured. We're a lot more organised. I wouldn't be opposed to putting, if Romero was sold, putting Danso in for 12 months and keeping Vuskovic. And if we're going to do that, it is too early to make him a captain, which is a real shame because the personality Danso has and the aggression he has, but the controlled aggression he has and the maturity he has, I think he's the real right kind of personality. He just hasn't quite been at the club long enough. And I said that to you when we signed him, that he strikes me as the kind of personality that would make a difference. Europa League quarterfinal, Europa League semi-final, and Europa League final, those 20 minutes in each game he played, he was so goddamn important in the results of those games. It can't be understated. You just can't.
Van de Ven at all, or do you think it's not the right pick?
I don't think it's the wrong person, but I think, like my stepdad said yesterday as we're recording this, I think he's a little bit too young. I think he just needs a little bit longer.
I don't know, but anyway.
For the same reason, I said Porro, because I think he's got the right personality. He leads by example. He's very driven. He's very vocal. But again, I think he's a little bit young. I think if we were having this conversation in 2 years' time, Porro and Van de Ven absolutely are going to be in that next bracket of people. But we're just kind of in that a little bit of limbo, a little bit. I probably would have said give it to Maddison and make him be the Mr. Tottenham and push him into that level of consistency because he showed a real good drive last season, but with his injury, same as Kulusevski, has caused his problems. Let's know what you guys think to that one. I feel like that's a bit of an open-ended one. We can't sort of really give an answer until the transfer window's done and we know the extent of certain injuries, but it's definitely food for thought. But I think the one thing we can agree on is if Romero's going to get it, even if it's just a 2-year extension, he has to sign some form of extension before the start of the season if he's going to be offered it.
Some sort of stability if he's going to be the captain.
Yeah. As you alluded to, which brings me nicely on to the next topic, Maddison's injury. So for those of you guys that don't know, it looks like he's torn his ACL, which is going to put him out for a long time. Obviously, Kulusevski's already injured as well. We might as well link this into the sort of new signings. We confirmed João Paulinho the other day, which I think is fantastic. And I didn't realise him and Porro played together at Sporting. and they were both right-sided, so I think that kind of is going to be a really good link up there. I think it'll give Porro a lot of freedom to move forwards. And actually, I was, and I'm going to talk about my attacking midfielder option because I had a really interesting debate with somebody earlier about it, and I think I'm ambitious but right. With Maddison and Kulusevski being injured, obviously, if you look at our depth right now, we've got 2 keepers, more than enough centre-backs, 2 right-backs, and a left-back and a guy who can cover both. I think we need another left-back. I had this debate, actually, with Kieran. You guys know Kieran. Kieran was on the show last year, a good friend of mine. And I said I wanted Shimikas. 10, 15 million pounds, 30 years old, Premier League experience, played 30 games as a rotation player each year for the last 4 years for Liverpool. And he said, I don't want him, he's not good enough. And I said, well, you need to give me a reason why he's not good enough. He went, he just isn't. And I said, hold on a second, he's Premier League experience, he's rotation player, happy being a rotation player. Liverpool have got 3 left backs, so they'd be willing to sell him for a reasonable price, and it would help them with PSR because they're making back about what they paid for him. Like I say, Premier League experienced, reliable, like you good cross for the ball. Like you need to give me a reason as to why he's not viable. And he actually couldn't give me a reason. So that's led me to come to a conclusion that one, that might be the first football debate I've ever won, and officially, properly, like formal argument, laid my points out, I made my mark, and I think I was right. But number 2 is the fact that I think it's a logical signing. It fixes a massive hole for us. Job done. At that point, then, for the 6s, we've got Bentancur and Paulinho can rotate there with Gray there as well. Gray was phenomenal in midfield against Newcastle, so I definitely want to see more of him in that role. I'm really excited for that. And if not, you've got Gray, Sarr, and Bergvall who can all cover the 8, which is fantastic.
Sarr's playing really far behind people in the pre-season.
Sarr's been playing almost as a 10, which is very interesting. Hopefully we'll see him score a few thundercunts this season. Then obviously you've got your winger options, you've got your striker options if no one leaves. So at that point then in time, I think that leads me to say, well, with the amount of players we've got that can drive the ball forward, maybe we don't need a Maddison or Kulusevski type 10. Maybe we need more like a false 9 kind of 10. And that makes me think that I think, given their PSR rules, we throw 85 million at Aston Villa for Morgan Rogers. He's 24 years old, English, homegrown, Premier League experience, Champions League experience, and he got 7 goal contributions in 12 games in the Champions League last year. Great return in the Premier League last year. Good record. He was reliable. He's English, homegrown. Villa they physically cannot sign players unless they sell. He is a prize jewel for them, but I think test the waters. Morgan Rogers is my first choice because I don't want another overly creative player because we've got Maddison and Kulusevski. I understand they're injured, but we've got creative wingers, we've got Bergvall, we've got Sarr. I think we need a different type of player in that hole. Morgan Gibbs-White would have been a perfect fit. Clearly, that's what we were going after. I think Morgan Gibbs-White is a completely different style to all 3 of those, the 2 that we've got and the one that we tried to sign, Nottingham Forest. And I think Morgan Rogers would make sense in that hole. Obviously, it's clear we need a 6, and it's clear we need a left back, and then just replace anyone who's been rotated. I think that's all we really need. I think
we have a problem now with left wing, in my opinion, because we let Son go. Fair enough. I mean, we had discussions earlier on this podcast about that, but also we let Michael Moore go out on loan, and I think it poses a bit of an issue for us because I don't see a senior left winger. Like we've got Odegaard, I guess, and Tell, but am I really going to rely on them in the Champions League season? Probably not. Like I don't see it. And if you're letting,
Odegaard's had a really, really good pre-season. To be fair,
I don't think. Don't get me wrong. It's not the same Son as we spoke about earlier. Like back in.
But you're still losing their presence. I
think we need to go out and sign. I mean, Rafael Lau was actually linked with us a few days ago.
He's overrated as fuck.
But I think we need to go even on the Coma.
But this is why I do like the idea of Morgan Rogers because he can play off the left.
He can play on the left.
He can play off the left, he can play off the right, he can play through the middle, he can play up front. He's a very versatile option. And Levy likes to probe where people have financial difficulties, be it PSR, be it relegation, release clauses, whatever. I think if we were to go and sign Morgan Rogers, a statement signing, we were willing to spend 60 million on Morgan Gibbs-White anyway. offer 85 plus, do you want Basuma, do you want Richarlison? See if Villa bite on that. See if they dip their nose into any other players. I just think the calibre he would bring, he wouldn't be a Galactico like a world beater like we've had with Son and Kane, but he's that category below that.
But how old is Morgan Rogers? He's 24.
He's 24, and he's not 25 till end of next season.
So he's literally just about to peak, really.
He's literally just about to hit the heights. Yeah. So if we don't jump in, then somebody else will. And that's why I think it makes such logical sense for us. I think he fits stylistically. I think he fits personality-wise. I think he fits in terms of multiple positions, multiple options. We want a player who can play as a 10 and play as a left winger. I think he gives us that. He brings pace, he brings energy.
I just don't know if we can prize him for Villa. That's the only question mark.
Well, see, that was the thing that was brought up to me earlier, and my answer to that was they've got PSR problems. They're in the Europa League. They don't have a lot of depth. If they can get that kind of money in, because they signed in for peanuts, that would give them a bigger gap in PSR than what we're actually paying, because it's profit versus players signed, and I think that gives Villa a bit more of an option then. Otherwise, they're going to stagnate, and then all of a sudden he's got 3 years left or 2 years left on his contract in a year's time. They haven't made Europe. They're on a bit of a free fall a little bit. Maybe Watkins has left. I don't know. I'd like us to get in there before Villa or somebody else consider Ollie Watkins, just so that we can potentially draw that in. He is a prize. Let's say he's going to cost a lot, but I think he's the kind of player that's worth breaking the bank on. Personally,
I've liked Morgan Rogers ever since I've seen him at Villa, even like in his first half season. Like you could tell there was a player there.
100%.
Thrown into like overtaking Jacob Ramsey, who I think is quite a similar stylistically player. Overtaking him like way leagues beyond him now in terms of quality. But I'd love him, but I just, I don't know. I think offering a player.
This might be the first time ever that I've come to you with a transfer target that makes logical sense, practical sense, and is ambitious and still within the realms of realism. I'm hitting all the nails on the head today. I'm having a great day. Considering I've been awake since 4:30 this morning, I'm hitting a nail on the head.
Daniel
I think
not a bad idea because Basuma. Well, I thought we were going to. There was another link with a 10. I'm probably not like this suggesting because by the way, this wasn't my suggestion. It's just something I read.
Yeah,
that was linked with Paqueta because West Ham want Basuma.
Yeah, I saw a lot of that. Yeah,
but I don't know. Didn't Villa want Basuma last season as well? Am I wrong?
They did, but I think they've just got too many players in that position now. So
I don't know what else I don't know. Have we got anything for them?
No, not really. That fits them. I mean,
Ryan Hill.
Yeah. I think they'd pay us to keep him, but I think it is within the. I think it is realistic though that we bring in, because my thought process was with those 2 injuries that we've got, keep Donnelly until January, give him a real shot, and sign Morgan Rogers. Allow Donnelly the chance to kick on, play league games, play cup games. He's not quite ready, but I think he's one of those players that if you give him the chance, he's just going to fly. And then you loan him out in January, he goes and plays for a top championship club or low Premier League club, flies to the end of the season, comes back, and then bang, he's ready to start. And then all of a sudden you've got a headache of, is it Maddison, is it Kulusevski, is it Morgan Rogers, is it this, is it that? And then if you need to, if Solanke's having fitness problems, you can have Morgan Rogers as an attacking option, and then you've still got 3 attacking midfielders. And I think it makes the most sense to build the squad to the next step. It makes the most sense for development. It makes the most sense for Spurs financially. I just think there's so many logical things to keeping Donnelly and paying maybe a bit over the odds for Morgan Rogers. I think it makes practical sense. For me, a left back, an attacking midfielder, and then replacing anybody who gets sold. I think if we do that, then I think that's a really solid window. Gives us a balance of Premier League experience and stability.
Because that was like the game changer for me. I know it's only
well, apparently Frank told him early on in the window that he was his first choice. So it seems like we were trying to get the attacking midfielder done first because it was the one we were going to have to haggle over, knowing that Pellegrini was happy to sit and wait for us. And Frank's over the moon with him as well. So, yeah, really happy with that.
How big of a signing Paulino is because we've not had a 6 since Wanyama, I think.
Yeah, I miss Wanyama.
I mean, I know we had Højbjerg, but
and it's spaghetti. It's funny you say that, actually. I said this there's a guy on TikTok called Luke Armour. I love his Spurs content. And I said in one of his lives the other day that Højbjerg would have been the perfect player for Thomas Frank. He got stuck in, he was brutal, he was strong, but he had that bit more passing range. In that, like I remember when he first signed him, we criticised the fact that he would just win the ball back and play a pass. And I know that's what we've got now with Paulinho, but by the time Højbjerg left, he had a bit more of a passing range than that. So it's a shame. Like if we got second-year Højbjerg under Thomas Frank, I think it would have been over for everyone.
But like,
it would have been scary, but not for us.
Did you see his tackle stats or something? He made like what?
Mate, it's ridiculous. Like 120 something more than any other player in that 2-year period. Just ridiculous.
Like, you have no idea how open it was when we signed him.
It does show though.
Before he went to Bayern. That window, obviously, Andrew didn't want a 6, but a lot of
he was the one that you kept saying. I remember.
But like, obviously, he didn't want a 6, so the fella was going to go try and get him. I don't know. He probably wouldn't have come to us. The Bayern Munich were there right at the time, so like, there's that as well.
It's kind of happened in a good way, but
now we've got him. I actually think we're understating it. The reason I say this is that if he has a really good loan and we get him permanently for, say, even just a 3-year deal, 2-3-year deal, he has the potential, I think. I know he'll be coming quite late in his career to Spurs, but to become that sort of experienced player around the dressing room.
I think the thing I love as well is...
We haven't seen him play for us yet, but I mean, also almost what I miss is having Paulinho and Bentancur as a...
I think the thing I love as well is the fact that we said last year, or you said last year, that the summer transfer with too many youth players, we need a bit more experience. The fact that we're targeting experience this year shows that Levy has learned. And people can say what they like, and I'm not going to say that he's perfect, and I've had enough slandering of Levy today, and we're going to talk about the Neville interview at the end. But the thing that gets me the most is, for years and years, we've criticised, saying, we just buy youth, just buy youth, just buy youth. We've got the youth. The youth has worked. They were turned into winners. Pap Sarr has grown. When we signed him, we've joked about it before, when we signed him, none of us had a fucking clue who he was. And he's grown into one of the most instrumental players in the team. Lucas Bergvall, comparing it to the start last season, me, you, my stepdad, like, we all said he's not physical enough, he's not confident enough, he doesn't look like he believes that he's ready to play at this level. Now he's one of the first names you're going, who do you pick? Do you pick him or Sarr? Because it's a tough decision. There's no flat out one's better than the other. One's better in certain situations than the other, but they're both as valuable as what we want. And that's the kind of depth that we've relaxed so much over the years. Now we're in a position where it was about, are you going to go and sign a bunch of 20-year-olds again? And we're going to get there and they're going to have to be relied on in the Champions League and FA Cup semi-finals or late in domestic cups or whatever. Actuality, we've got to sign experience and quality experience, but not outdated experience, so that we can push on from that. And so far, it seems good. Obviously, we need more in the transfer window. But I think we get a left back in, get a 6, get a 10 in, and replace anyone we sell. And I think it's a really solid window. I think that's the best way to describe it.
Another thing, it's just we badly needed a player like that to play, for example, in these bigger games away to Arsenal. Because what City, away in the second game, right? You can play Paulinho with Bentancur with, I don't know, someone else in midfield. Like, we badly need that. Under Andrew, we had nothing like that, and he didn't want to play like that. Yeah. So, obviously, he got rid of Højbjerg. But, you know, and it's just his experience as well. At 30 is a great age to bring him in. Like, he's old enough where you know he's going to have an effect on the squad in other ways as well, I think. But
still young enough to be athletic and energetic.
Yeah. Because that's what I said. He could even go into something of a, like, what's the word? Like a captain in some ways, but not actually a captain. Yeah. Like, I think he has potential to do that. Yeah.
Before we move on to the preview in the PSG game, then, one last thing. So, did you see Richarlison's Instagram story yesterday?
No, I didn't. Why?
He posted an AI-generated photo of a Son statue and tagged Spurs going, please, please, please.
Oh, no, I didn't
fucking, do you know what, right? Despite his injuries, and we still spoke about how important he was in that final, he was just running and running and running. He was relentless. I love his character. I really hope this season he can stay fit, because I love his character. I love his personality, and he gets the club. He really gets the club. And I see what Everton fans were saying when we signed him about the fact that it was a bit of a loss for them. They didn't necessarily lose the striker or the ability. They lost the person. They lost the character. Have you seen all of his comments replying to? He replied to Saliba's Instagram photo saying, "You look like you need to lift some weights. Have you not been lifting any trophies?" He's done loads. He replied to an Arsenal fan the other day saying, "What a trophy." And I'm just like, oh my God, this guy. He replied to some Arsenal fan that was giving him shit saying, me, 1 European trophy, Arsenal in 128 years, or whatever it is, 0 European trophy. I love him. I just love him. People sit there and talk about, we want a bit of banter in the game, we want a bit of shit outs in the game. The minute you get it, you can't handle it. Anyway, moving on.
You know what I remember about him after the game is he was just parading around his medal. I don't know if you saw that when he went live.
I did, yeah. We're going to do our starting 11 versus PSG based on the players that are currently in the club as of 10/19 on the 4th of August. Just a disclaimer, because otherwise people give a shit. Oh my God, you didn't start him. Well, we didn't fucking sign him yet. We'll compare the two, and then we'll do a little preview about sort of how we expect the game to go, and then we'll wrap it off with the Gary Neville interview. So, my side versus PSG, based on everyone who's fit currently: Vicario in goal, Porro, Romero, Van der Ven, Spence, Paulinho, Bentancur. Yeah, he's still injured. Paulinho, Bentancur, Odobert, Sarr, Kudus, Brennan Johnson. Right. The reason why I'm saying this, Solanke's still recovering, and I don't know if he's going to be back fully fit in time. And I'm saying Sarr at the 10, not Bergwall, because Bergwall's still recovering from an injury, or still getting back to fitness. And Sarr's been phenomenal in pre-season, and I think he deserves a chance to kick the French. Yeah, I think he deserves to kick the French in the shins. Harry, your start 11 versus PSG. Hit me with your best shot. What are you going for?
Probably the same as yours.
Really?
Yeah. The only difference I would maybe Tell instead of Johnson, but I think it's a bit of a toss-up, to be honest.
The reason why I'm saying Johnson is just because he has a way of peeling off defenders in the box. Yeah. And I just think with the pace and the electricity of Kudus and Odobert, and this is why I think Odobert has a lot to show. And he's had a good pre-season, I'm not going to lie to you, but I think he's got a lot to show this season because now we've got someone like Kudus who will run direct, who will sprint up players, who will take players on. Odobert's the exact same type of profile. He's only 20, but if he doesn't cement the left wing as his starting spot this season, next season we'll go and sign a replacement and that'll be it. So I think he has 12 months now to cement it as his first place. And I hope he does, because he's got the right characteristics and the right profiles. Is he going to turn out like Nkudu, or is he going to turn out like Mbappe? Remains to be seen. I'm joking.
That's two
very one extreme to the other, two different types of players as well. But do you know what I mean? Whether he turns out to have that agility and that balance and taking players on, yeah, we'll see. At least he wasn't stuck in a hotel for weeks on end.
Travel lodge, I'm sure. Yeah.
Oh, tell me about it. But yeah, I think that makes the most sense, and I'd love to see Sarr score a last-minute winner.
I think he's going to play low block. It's kind of obvious he's going to play low block.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
especially with Bentancur and Paulinho playing, he'll just drop the six.
But I think, did you see Pedro Porro's pass in the preseason game the other day?
No,
we were pens back, and then he literally bent the ball around the defender, went all the way through. Tell took on his man, beat his man, and then tried to fake the keeper. Keeper didn't bite, and he hit it straight in his leg. But in that situation, if that's Brennan Johnson, we're probably going to score. He just goes straight for his legs. So that's why I think that system would work best.
Would you not play Richarlison up front or not?
No, not straight away. Given the fact that Brennan Johnson scored a goal in the cup final to win us the game last time, I think it makes sense to start him.
Okay.
If Solanke's fit, I'd start Solanke, but I don't think he will be, so that's why I'm going with that.
Basically, going to play 4-9 then, I guess, if you're playing.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, kind of.
They want him exactly being like a target man. He'll kind of play off of the defense.
Him and Bergwall will kind of play off of it. Him and Sarr will kind of play off of each other, and I think Sarr will get. That's one thing I loved about Sarr in pre-season. He's been box to box, but he's ended up in a lot of attacking midfield positions. And Sarr's shown so much of his passing quality over the last couple of years. And to think of where he was when we signed him, he's grown, not just grown up, but he's really grown into that. He just seemed like a really shy kid when he still seems like a shy guy when we signed him, but he looks more like a man. He holds his own. He's laughing, he's joking. When he's not at Spurs, he's doing charity work of some kind. I feel like he's one of those players that in 10 years' time, if he stays at Spurs and continues on the trajectory and we invest and we make the right decisions, we could be sitting there, Sarr, having a legacy. I'm not going to say like Son's because I feel like it's very hard to have a legacy, but I think we could be looking at Sarr as one of those types of players because his personality, the way he embodies himself is very similar to that of Son's.
I think the next 2 years are Sarr's most important years. If he doesn't develop, is that the right word? And then I think he's kind of in trouble. But
I think if he continues on the trajectory he's made in the last 18 months, then I think he'll be sound.
He just needs to add more production out of himself. Basically, that's what it is. Because I think work rate's insane. Like I said, he always reminds me of Ramirez. He used to play for Chelsea.
I remember saying before. I'm gonna say, Evan. Do you remember what our predictions for the final was? So I said 2-1 Spurs, and you said 2-1 United, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to say 2-1 Tottenham after extra time.
Unfortunately, we're not playing the worst Man United team in existence this time. So
listen, PSG was shit against Chelsea in the Club World Cup, and they got annihilated.
I watched it.
So
I think it'll be 2-2, and it'll probably be one on penalties or something. But I don't know who's going to win the penalties.
Heart Attack FC.
I'll
tell you what. As I said Spurs to win, it was reversed last time. You say 2-2 and then PSG win on pens. I'll say 2-1 and Spurs win, and let's hope the luck's reversed itself. But yeah, I think it's going to be a tight game, and I think it gives Spurs a real opportunity, and these players a real opportunity to prove that they were never Europa League players; they were always Champions League players.
Do you think there's a factor in the fact that we played the Premier League game on the weekend straight away afterwards, that he might rest some players during the game?
No, he won't be resting players because he knows. Because bearing in mind, right, and there was a lot of debate about is it a major trophy or not. The Community Shield you can get in without winning a game. You have to win a major European trophy to be in it. So as far as I'm concerned, the European Super Cup is a major trophy, unless we lose. The European Super Cup is a major trophy, and it'll be the first time we've won it, and we have a real opportunity to start the Thomas Frank era on the right foot. He'd be stupid, given the fact that it's a home game against a newly promoted team that have a washed Kyle Walker at right back, and a manager who probably should be selling suits for a living rather than trying to get Burnley to go back to Sean Dyche's 2014 low block. I think he'll feel quite confident about the league game. I think he knows that if he wins that Super Cup, like he's bought himself all the time in the world. He'll get it anyway. He's going to get at least 2 or 3 years, but I think he's bought himself all the time in the world if he wins that Super Cup. And all the people that doubted
the whole Ange thing about a European trophy, I guess. As well.
Exactly. So I think he'll know that if he wins it, then it shows not only to the fans that are doubting whether he's ready or not that he is, which I believe he is. He's proven that against teams that consistently play in the Champions League with Brentford and beating them in the league. So I don't have a concern about him in the Champions League or him tactically at all. But for the small proportion of fans that do, I think the Super Cup gets rid of all that straight away.
I think
so it'd be stupid.
Basically straight away. If it was
I think it'd be stupid to. It'd be stupid to rest for that.
They would have no argument at all if we beat PSG. They literally no argument.
Exactly. And last but not least, we're going to talk about Daniel Levy's interview on the Overlap with Gary Neville, which came out this morning as we're recording this. But as you're watching this, it would have come out on Monday. Go and check it out. Not now, because we've only got a couple of minutes left. Finish this first, drop it a like, and then go and check it out. But basically, it was 35 and a half minutes of Daniel Levy chatting utter shit, as per usual. I did resonate with the football side of things and how touch and go the stadium was and how they're constantly trying to do things the right way. And when you talk about the 115 charges and you talk about the PSR rules, you talk about certain clubs playing people that don't understand what the word consent means, and you look at so many clubs that are doing the wrong thing. It is nice that we are doing the right thing. It was nice to see a little bit more detail about the Ange decision and kind of the fact that they saw what we saw, which was that league form was not sustainable and that it would have continued into next season, and that he did make. It was hard for me because I was mixed feelings at the end because I knew that he needed to go, but the fact that Levy actually has a board of advisors that are football specific to advise him shows a bit of a difference from where we're previously at. But then the fact that he's going to make the decision no matter what, like, you could be my financial advisor, and if you tell me don't go and spend £1.5 billion on a yacht, and I go and do it anyway, and then the yacht sinks a day later, doesn't matter having the advisor if you don't listen. That being said, some of our footballing decisions that have been made recently show that maybe he is listening to people that actually know what they're doing. Which,
because he did mention Vinite in a passing comment, but it wasn't really detailed.
But it's not just him; it's
on like the financials more in the sense of like where the Premier League's going. It wasn't.
It was a lot of like general stuff. When it came to obviously the Europa League and being proud of that and whatever, I understand that, and I do think that if Andrew had even finished 8th and won the Europa League, he'd probably still be here. That was one thing that became apparent. It wasn't Levy sacked him because we won a trophy. Levy sacked him because if we continued on the same trajectory next season, we would have been relegated. And I think he realised that it is hard to separate the emotions, and a lot of fans struggle with it. I struggle with it on a daily basis sometimes, but it was nice to see that he made the decision from a point of view of what's best for the football club, rather than just, we've said before that so many times he's made rash decisions based on what fans have said. The Jose thing, I think that was a fan discomfort thing, and he didn't have the balls to go back on it and wait on it. I think he's grown a little bit since then as a person, Daniel Levy, and I think I'm not going to give him all the credit in the world because I still don't think he deserves it, but for a long time we've said to him that he needs to have a group of people that are specialists in the football sector that are going to advise him on those decisions so that he can make the right ones, and it seems like it. And also,
what he said, which I thought was quite interesting, because bear in mind we think he gets involved in like player selections.
He doesn't at all.
He said that they choose the players on a committee, whatever it's committee, whatever. I can't remember what word he used. And then he goes out and signs them. So if we fail to sign the player, it is kind of on him. But he doesn't identify the actual player. That's what
he doesn't identify the actual player, which is one, a little bit about why our scouting department needs to improve a little bit. But two, the other thing as well that really resonated with me was the fact that Thomas Frank told him that is his intention to win the Premier League, and that he wouldn't have come to Tottenham if Tottenham's ambition didn't match his. Now, that's going to end in one in two ways. Either we are going to challenge over the next 3 or 4 years and we're going to come close and maybe we'll miss out a little bit here and there. Liverpool got a lot of quality, got a squad that's been together a long time. The arseholes in red have been second again for a while. The arseholes in blue are gonna push and they're rebuilding really well. Man City probably going to get away with the charges. So it's not going to be easy if we do challenge again the way we have done previously. But I think it's clear to me that if he doesn't get us in a position where Frank can challenge for the title, Thomas Frank will leave. That's one thing I took from that. It wasn't abundantly clear, but if you listen to the things he said about the fact that Frank has ambition to win the Premier League, Tottenham have ambition to win the Premier League, let's be realistic. Thomas Frank knows his worth. He knows the kind of manager he is. He knows his ability level. He's beaten top 6 sides with a Brentford side of all sorts of players before. So Thomas Frank knows that he could win the Premier League. In the right club with the right resources, he could win the Premier League.
Also, in the transfer business we've signed Premier League proven players on the most part so far. So there is obviously been a change in tact in that way.
Approach,
because they're going for Premier League experienced players. Even João Palhinha knows that Bayern Munich, we got him on loan, but he was at Fulham for what 2-3 years. Like there
Yeah.
was choice. I think all the choices we made. Kudus again, obviously, he's at West Ham for
Premier
2-3
League
years.
proven, like just pre-peak age. Morgan Gibbs was Rogers, Morgan Gibbs White even. That we were pushing for. I know, obviously, it went to shit, but I got the two confused there. We'll have half of one player and half the other. Like again, so there's clearly a directive in that regard that's how we want to operate. Obviously, the ultimatum is: do we win another trophy? How soon do we win another trophy? We might be sat there in 2 weeks' time, having signed a player that then scores a winning goal in the final, and we're sat here going, he's done exactly what he told us to do. We're going to challenge again. He signed a player. That player scored in the final. We can't really say a lot. I think this season will be a season where everything starts to come together for Spurs, and I think we'll be a lot more consistent and a lot more driven. I wouldn't be surprised if we make it to a domestic semi-final. And then it's just about seeing.
You need to find like a couple of attacking players because I look at our attack, it's just not that frightening. And I know Solanke's going to come back, and obviously Bergvall can sort of play in those pockets a bit, but. I know Eze, I think it's too far of a stretch for us. I know our fan base is like crazy about him. They're like,
I think we need to get over that. It's like getting over a woman who's never going to.
Unfortunately, but we need to go out and find, I think, a couple more attacking players, like senior attacking players. So I don't know who they're going to be, but like I think we need something.
I do think this season will be a lot more positive for us, and I do think that we'll be sat here in 12 months' time needing maybe one or two players to really challenge. You know, if we get it right this summer, if we really get it right this summer, then I think next year we could only be one or two players away from properly challenging.
Kind of like what trajectory Kudus goes, because obviously is he 24? Am I wrong? Is he 24?
24, yeah.
Yeah, and obviously Carlino will be there for like the experience, right? So they're buying players which we know they'll be solid buys, pretty much 95% sure, right? And then
we're buying players that are going to almost hit the ground running pretty much straight away, which is a massive difference from our previous approach.
So like that, if say for example Kudus excels into like a different level. What I'm saying is, obviously we bought these players with an intention that we're going to finish in a solid position in the league, right? That might just be like 6th or 7th, for example, or 8th even. I don't know. It depends how you want to review it. But if we have, say, the season we finish like, I don't know, like 6th, 7th, whatever, and then we say, oh, look, we need to improve in this sorts of areas. And then the players that we had last season, for example, like you mentioned, Odobert, this is his year. If he doesn't do it, shift him. Maybe even in 2 years we look at getting rid of Maddison, because I don't know if you watch any of We Are Tottenham TV, but Ben Jacobs was on there, and they were talking about Tottenham's in and outs. And surprisingly, he mentioned James Maddison. I don't know if it was like a serious thing or like if he had some.
But when I said that last year, I got fucking hounded. By the way,
so apparently they said they might, if they got good enough money to take us, they might sell him if they're bringing like a couple more attacking players. Now, obviously, this is off the table now because of his injury, so forget that. But what I'm saying is, I think there's potential that I know it's. Don't shoot for this either. But in the next 2 years, Maddison Kulusevski might not even be here. Like, it's possible that some of these players that we might have now, what we think they did so well last season, or even Kulusevski arguably was our best player at some point last season. Like, he wasn't he? For like half the season, he was our best player.
Yeah.
He might not even be here in 2 years because Frank might shape the squad in a different way. He might go for more power and speed rather than just pure creativity. Like, he might want a mix of both. Like, you just don't really know. And also, obviously, Paulina, he might be a short-term fix. He might get him and think, oh, I can get it for another 2-3 years for the experience around the squad. He might turn out to be like James Milner.
2 years' time, Gray's ready to start. Job done. Do you know what I mean? You never know. So, but I definitely don't see any reason why we don't. We continue on. If we have a good end to the window, we continue on the trajectory we're on. Within the next couple of years, we should be there or thereabouts, winning something again.
Obviously, on paper, like these signs are like really good. This is the one thing I wanted, but in in reality, we don't know how it's going to work out in terms of like how they're going to fit as a team. So preseason is obviously a decent indicator because obviously everyone's told me this, not just you, that we've defended way better in preseason. But Frank also came up. They've worked on it. So now they've still out the back basically with Paulinho and fix the defensive side of the game really. Now I think it's time to turn on to like more attacking sides of the game and get
more attacking sides of the game, But it's really promising, and I'm not going to sit there and say that I liked everything that was said in that interview because I don't. But what I will say is the promise last year of we've had a youthful summer this summer. Next summer is going to be the experience. We're going to build a well-rounded squad because if you want to be well-rounded in competitions, the best way to do that is have a well-rounded squad. We're getting there. Rome wasn't built in a day, but I think if we have a good end to the window by the end of next summer, we should be there or thereabouts. Yeah. And it's nice to see just a jump just in coaching and a jump just in approach to everything. And obviously in practicality we'll probably lose 1-0 to Burnley, but in practicality Kyle Walker, could you imagine? I hope he scores an own goal and they lose 5-0. But in actuality, the sort of the overall approach is something that looks a lot more sustainable. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm actually really happy with where Spurs are at the minute, and I think we're moving on a positive front. It's nice today. We've had a lot to talk about, which is good. I think that's pretty much it, really, for today. Yeah. So next week we're going to preview the Burnley game.
It's a start.
And talk about any other transfers or any other ins and outs. Hopefully we're going to have some more outs by then.
It's 2 weeks to start. Well, less than 2 weeks to start, doesn't it?
Excuse me. Yeah, but you got to remember it goes out on the Friday before the game.
I know. I'm just saying it's less than 2 weeks to Premier League start.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Obviously, as I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, my great nan passed away at 106. I have her funeral on the 20th, so that week's episode,
20th of August,
I might be a little bit 20th of August. Yeah, that Monday I might be a little bit all over the place, but I'll get there slowly. And obviously next Monday I'll talk about it more. Obviously it'll be 4 years since Ramon passed away. I'm not going to talk about it now because I'm going to start crying, but next Tuesday I will be talking about it, as I do every year. But there's a couple of things I want to sort of go into this year about, how different life looks and whatnot. So we'll talk about that more next week. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Harry, I don't even know why I'm thanking you anymore because you're part of the furniture. It's been really nice to have positive conversations for Spurs, and let's just hope that we're not screaming and shouting halfway through the season. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. If you're new around here, stick around. If you're seeing this on TikTok, for whatever reason you've come from TikTok, then hi. Thanks for coming from whatever stupid clip that I posted. Last week it was Harry embarrassing himself with the Wickham guest. The week before that was viral, like 8,000 views with Nottingham Forest fans giving me shit for saying that they're a corrupt bunch of cunts. By the way, you're still a corrupt bunch of cunts. And yeah, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, give us a 5-star review on Spotify. And we'll catch you next week. Come on, you Spurs!
Come on, you Spurs!